It's a symbolic test. Each chair you'll see here is more than a piece of furniture. It's a mirror of your inner world. The chair you choose, without overthinking, reveals something about you, not your public persona, not your role in society, but the part of you that lives in silence, your deeper self. The subconscious is a master illusionist. It makes you feel like you're making free choices, but often it has already made the decision long before your mind catches up. Room and felt instantly drawn to a particular spot, a corner, a chair, a color. That's not random. That's active symbolism at play. Jung taught us that our psyche is full of symbols that reveal what we truly seek, fear, or long for. And through this test, you're about to discover more than you might expect. This isn't about labeling your personality. It's about offering you a mirror, not one made of glass, but one made of metaphor. Today, I invite you to look beneath the surface, to allow your first impulse to speak, and to listen without judgment to what your soul might be trying to say. So, take a breath, look closely, and prepare yourself. Your first choice may reveal far more than you think. In a few moments, you'll see 5 chairs, different shapes, different materials, different energies. Your task is simple. Choose one, but don't overthink it. Don't analyze. Don't scroll back and forth. Just notice which one pulls you. This isn't a test of logic. It's a ritual of intuition. Your first instinct is the one that speaks the truth, before the mind jumps in to correct, justify, or doubt. That's the rule. Go with your first pull, because in that split second, before reasoning kicks in, your subconscious shows its hand. You may feel resistance. You might think, well, this one looks more comfortable, or that one fits my personality better. But that's your head talking. And your head has spent a lifetime trying to protect you from discomfort, vulnerability, and change. Today we do something different. Before we begin, write this in the comments. Did you choose with your head or your gut? Let's see how many of us are still trying to outthink the soul. Now, to look at the 5 chairs. Take a breath. Notice what your body does, where your eyes land, what feels strangely familiar. Then choose, without explanation, without hesitation. Your subconscious already has. You chose the simplest chair. No ornaments, no dramatic colors, just a clean, quiet presence. At first glance, it may seem unremarkable, but that's the point. This chair doesn't scream for attention. It offers space, space to breathe, space to think, space to not be disturbed. Choosing this chair reveals a longing for peace, for quiet clarity in a world that never stops shouting. You may not even realize how overwhelmed you've become, how tired you are of noise, expectations, and constant emotional demands. This chair represents a soul that seeks refuge, not out of weakness, but out of wisdom. The fugitive. At the core of this choice is the archetype of the fugitive. Someone who has been through too much, someone who knows the cost of chaos and now craves stillness. Perhaps you've spent years being what others needed, solving problems, carrying emotional weight, showing strength when you were crumbling inside. And now, you just want quiet. The fugitive doesn't run because they're afraid. They run because they know some battles are not worth fighting anymore. Some spaces must be protected, and some peace is sacred. But here lies the shadow. When the fugitive forgets that healing comes from facing, not only from retreating, they risk living in a kind of emotional exile, present, but never truly engaged. Are you creating space for restoration, or building walls you no longer need? The observer. Alongside the fugitive walks the archetype of the observer. This is the part of you that prefers to step back, to analyze, to watch rather than act. You likely have strong inner clarity. You notice things others miss. You're sensitive to energy, tone, and detail. While the world rushes forward, you sit, quietly collecting meaning from the silence between the words. But sometimes, the observer becomes too detached, too hidden. You begin to confuse protection with isolation. You tell yourself, I'm just more private, or I need my space, when in truth, you might be avoiding being truly seen. This is the paradox of Chair 1. You long for peace, but you also fear what happens when you open the door again. The hidden story. Those who choose this chair often carry deep emotional fatigue. Maybe you've experienced loss, betrayal, or a long period of emotional overstimulation, and now you're learning to say, enough. You may have once been the caretaker, the fixer, the responsible one. Now something inside you says, I need something for me. I need stillness, or I won't survive. This isn't selfish. This is survival wisdom. But ask yourself, are you recovering or hiding? Are you resting or disappearing? There's a difference between sacred solitude and emotional shutdown. The gift of this archetype is clarity. You can see through illusions. You sense when someone's words don't match their energy. You find meaning in simplicity. You bring calm into chaotic spaces. You don't need the spotlight. You are the anchor. And yet you must remember, even clarity needs connection. Even peace needs warmth. Even solitude needs moments of shared presence. You don't have to let the whole world in, but don't lock every door either. You are allowed to be quiet and alive, calm and connected, discerning and open. A question for you. Ask yourself honestly, when did you start withdrawing? Was it a conscious choice or a slow erosion? And deeper still, what would it take to feel safe enough to return? You don't have to re-enter the noise, but you may need to risk letting someone close again. Not everyone wants to take. Some people want to sit beside you, quietly, without asking for anything. Just being. Can you let them? Final reflection. Choosing this chair doesn't mean something is wrong. It means you've been through enough to value what most people overlook, peace, space, and presence. But remember, too much stillness becomes stagnation. Too much clarity can become coldness. Too much watching can become missing out on life. Let your peace be soft, not rigid. Let your silence be healing, not hiding. You don't have to run anymore. You don't have to watch from a distance. You are allowed to come back, slowly, gently, and only when it feels true. But come back. The world needs what you carry. Even if all you bring is the calm you found by sitting alone for so long, you chose the classic wooden chair, sturdy, reliable, uncomplicated. This isn't a chair that draws attention. It doesn't seek to impress. It stands firm. Solid legs, familiar shape. No surprises. At first glance, it might seem like a safe choice, and that's exactly what it is. But don't mistake safety for weakness. This choice reveals a soul that values structure, order, and meaning grounded in tradition. You may be someone who seeks clarity through rules, rhythm, and responsibility. In a world spinning with chaos, you hold tightly to what lasts. And deep down, you carry a quiet strength, the kind that holds families, communities, and principles together, the Guardian. At the heart of this choice is the archetype of the Guardian. You protect what matters. You take responsibility even when no one asks. You show up, on time, prepared, and ready to hold the line. You've likely been the one others lean on, the dependable one, the one who keeps things running. You may not speak the loudest, but your actions speak volumes. This archetype is deeply honorable. The Guardian holds values, respects history, stands firm in storms. But with all that strength comes a shadow. Sometimes the Guardian becomes rigid, trapped in duty, bound by shoulds. You may begin to confuse control with safety and order with love. Have you been carrying more than your share? Have you mistaken self-sacrifice for virtue? The traditionalist alongside the Guardian lives the traditionalist. This is the part of you that reveres the past. You find meaning in rituals, in systems that have stood the test of time. You likely value heritage, family stories, and doing things the right way. There's comfort in knowing your place, in clear roles, clear expectations, and shared beliefs. But the shadow of the traditionalist is inflexibility. You might resist change, not because it's wrong, but because it threatens the known. Ask yourself, do you honor tradition, or are you hiding inside it? Are you living by choice or by inherited scripts? Sometimes we follow rules so long, we forget to ask if they still fit the life we've become. The hidden story. Choosing this chair may reveal someone who's endured by staying grounded. You've likely faced storms, but instead of running, you stood your ground. You built walls, foundations, boundaries. Perhaps you grew up in an unpredictable environment. and you learned that control equals safety. Or maybe life taught you that being responsible is the only way to be loved. Now structure feels like oxygen, rules bring peace, and freedom can feel dangerous. But here's the deeper truth. What kept you safe once may now be keeping you stuck. Are you building a life or defending a fortress? The gift of this archetype is integrity. You are trustworthy, rooted, wise. You know how to build, to maintain, to protect. In a world of shortcuts, you understand the long path. People feel safe with you, not because you're flashy, but because you're constant. You bring tradition, discipline, and a deep sense of place. You hold history with reverence and carry forward what truly matters. But even foundations must be re-examined. Even old structures need new windows. You don't have to abandon your values to evolve. You just have to allow life to breathe through them. A question for you. When was the last time you broke a rule on purpose? When was the last time you asked yourself, is this still true for me? What would happen if you let go of one expectation today? Not everything at once, just one. Would the world fall apart? Or would you discover a lighter, freer version of yourself beneath the armor? Final reflection. Choosing this chair doesn't mean you're stuck. It means you've built something solid, and you're wise enough to know what's worth keeping. But remember, loyalty without flexibility becomes a prison, stability without emotion becomes dry, and order without love becomes control. You don't have to tear down your foundations. But maybe it's time to renovate a few rooms, let in some sunlight, paint a wall a color no one expects from you. Leave one chair at the table open for something new, something wild, something free. You are not only a guardian, you are also a soul still becoming. You can honor the past and welcome the unknown. You can be strong and soft, firm and evolving. The world needs your steadiness. But don't forget, you need your own aliveness too. You chose the most striking chair, the one with elegance, presence, and weight. A chair that says, "Look at me." This is not a quiet choice. It's a chair that holds history, command, and pride. Choosing this seat reveals something powerful in you, something that seeks visibility, impact, and influence. It's not about vanity, it's about mattering. Deep down, you want your presence to mean something. You don't want to fade into the background of life. You want your voice heard, your work valued, your story remembered. And beneath all that is a wound. The king. At the center of this choice is the archetype of the king. Not a ruler by force, but by purpose. The king doesn't just sit in a throne. He carries the weight of responsibility, leadership, and legacy. If this is you, you likely carry a strong sense of duty. You feel responsible for others, for outcomes, for making things right. People may look to you for answers. They sense your strength even when you're tired. You may not have asked to lead, but life placed a crown on your head. And you wore it, because no one else would. But here's the shadow. The king who always leads forgets how to receive. You give, you guide, you hold it all together. But who holds you? You may find yourself surrounded by people, yet feel deeply alone. The patriarch walking beside the king is the archetype of the patriarch. This part of you believes in legacy, in building something that lasts, in passing wisdom, strength, and provision to the next generation. You want your life to count, not just now, but after you're gone. You may be a provider, a builder, a protector. You take pride in offering stability, wisdom, and direction, but there's a danger here. The patriarch can become overly attached to status, control, or authority. You may resist change because you've worked so hard to get where you are. You may silence emotions because they feel like weakness. Ask yourself, are you leading with love or with fear of losing your place? Have you built a throne but forgotten how to sit down and rest? The hidden story. Those who choose this chair often carry the burden of unrecognized effort. Maybe you've spent years proving your worth, to a father who never praised you, to a world that never saw you, to yourself because somewhere deep down you still wonder if you're enough. This chair represents a hunger to be seen, not just admired but witnessed, not just respected, but loved for who you are beneath the role. And maybe you've been wearing the crown for so long you forgot you're more than the title. The gift. The gift of this archetype is impact. You were born to shape things, to create order from chaos, to carry weight with grace, to protect, to serve, to leave behind something meaningful. You inspire people, often without realizing it. You walk into a room and others straighten their backs. You speak and people listen. But here's what you need to remember. You don't have to earn love through usefulness. You don't have to deserve rest. Your value isn't in the chair you sit on, but the heart you bring to it. You are allowed to be powerful and tender, strong and uncertain, respected and vulnerable. A question for you. Whose recognition are you still chasing? Whose voice are you still trying to silence with your success? What would happen if you put down the armor, just for a moment? If you let someone see you, not as the king, but as the man behind the crown? Would you still be worthy? The answer is yes. You always have been. Final reflection. Choosing this chair is not a mistake. It means you carry vision, presence, and purpose. You are here to lead something. But leadership without inner peace becomes performance, and status without intimacy becomes a prison. So yes, sit on your throne, but let people close. Let someone hold your hand instead of your title. Let your power include softness. Let your legacy begin with truth. Because at the end of it all, it's not the chair that defines you. It's how human you were while sitting in it. You chose the colorful chair, the playful one, the one that breaks the rules. It might be curved, bright, unusual, maybe even a little strange, but it made you smile, or sparked your curiosity, or stirred something wild that you hadn't felt in a long time. That's no accident. This chair speaks to the part of you that refuses to be boxed in, to the spark inside that still wants to create, laugh, feel, be. You didn't choose the chair of control, you chose the chair of color, which means there's a part of you still alive, the divine child. At the heart of this choice is the archetype of the divine child, not childish but childlike, innocent, imaginative, joyful. This is the part of you that still dreams, that still believes something beautiful is possible no matter what life has taken from you. The part that says there must be more than this. You likely have a strong creative impulse. Art, music, movement, words, whatever your medium is, it's your medicine. You feel most alive when you're expressing something real, but the divine child is also vulnerable. This archetype often appears when you've been through deep pain and creativity became your way of surviving it. You turned wounds into beauty, tears into color, loneliness into imagination. That's powerful, but sometimes you forget to heal, because it's easier to perform the joy than to face the sadness underneath. The rebel alongside the divine child walks the archetype of the rebel. You don't like being told who to be. You've questioned authority since you were young. You might smile on the outside, but inside you often whisper, "No one tells me what to do." The rebel in you is sacred. It protects your soul from being flattened. It challenges systems, patterns, and norms that suffocate life. You see beauty in the broken. You create something where others only see ruin. But the shadow of the rebel is disconnection. If you've been rejected for being different, you may have learned to hide behind your difference. You show the world color, but keep the pain private. You turn everything into a performance, so no one can see the fear underneath. Ask yourself, are you expressing or escaping? Are you living your truth or hiding your wounds inside the art? The hidden story. Those who choose this chair often carry a hidden grief. Maybe you felt unseen as a child. Maybe your creativity was dismissed as silly. Maybe your joy was too much for serious people, so you learned to express just enough to be accepted. Or you expressed everything, but made sure no one got too close. Your heart became a gallery, open to the public, but never truly touched. And still, you long for someone to look at your art, your soul, and say, "I see you. I really see you." The gift. The gift of this archetype is authentic expression. You are here to bring beauty into the world, raw, wild, imperfect beauty. You remind others to feel. You bring color to dull spaces. You speak what others are afraid to say. You don't just live, you express life. That's rare, and necessary. But remember, expression without connection becomes performance, and creativity without rest becomes burnout. You don't have to be brilliant all the time. You don't have to prove your worth through your work. You are already worthy, even when you're quiet. You are not just the art. You are the artist. You are not just what you produce. You are a soul. A question for you. What would happen if you created just for yourself? Not to be liked, not to be praised, but to feel, to release, to remember who you are. And what would happen if you let someone in, truly in behind the colors? Would they find chaos? Maybe. But they might also find gold. And you might finally feel what you've always wanted, safe to be seen. Final reflection. Choosing this chair is a powerful declaration. You want freedom. You want truth. You want life to mean something. But don't forget, true freedom isn't rebellion for rebellion's sake. It's the freedom to be fully you, even when you're not creating anything at all. It's not about being loud. It's about being real. So yes, paint your walls bright, dance barefoot, break the mold, but also rest. Let someone hold your hand. Cry without needing to turn it into poetry. Let the rebel soften. Let the child be protected. Let the artist be human. Because in the end, the most radical thing you can do is not to perform your soul, but to live it. You chose the austere chair, hard lines, metal, wood, no softness, no frills. It doesn't invite comfort. It demands readiness. This isn't a chair you fall into. It's a chair you stand up from. Choosing this seat reveals something powerful, a life forged in resilience, a soul shaped by necessity. You've learned that the world doesn't always catch you when you fall. So, you stopped falling. You became the one who stands tall, no matter the cost. The warrior. At the center of this choice is the archetype of the warrior. You know how to survive, how to push through, how to show up, even when exhausted. You've likely been through things that would have broken others. But you didn't break, you armored up, you fought through. You earned every scar, you carry discipline, focus, endurance. You don't wait for someone to save you, you move. But here's the shadow of the warrior. You forget how to receive. You fear dependence. You mistake rest for weakness and softness for danger. Your strength becomes your shield. And over time, even love starts to feel like a threat. The loner. Walking beside the warrior is the archetype of the loner. Not antisocial, but self-sufficient. You don't trust easily. You may have been disappointed too many times, so now you walk alone. You tell yourself, it's better this way. And maybe, sometimes it is. But the loner can become a prison. You begin to believe that closeness always ends in pain. You start to rely only on yourself, because that's the only person who's never left. Yet deep down, behind the armor and solitude, is a heart that longs to be understood. Even the strongest soul wants to be held. Even the warrior gets tired. The hidden story. Those who choose this chair often carry a silent history. Maybe you learned early on that vulnerability wasn't safe, that love came with conditions, or disappeared without warning. Maybe life taught you that being strong was the only way to survive, so you adapted. You became sharp, capable, unbreakable. But along the way, you stopped letting people in, because the ones who said they'd stay didn't. The ones who promised to protect, you had to protect yourself from. Now you pride yourself on independence, but sometimes you feel invisible in your own strength. Who sees you when you never need help? The gift. The gift of this archetype is integrity through action. You don't talk, you do. You hold the line, you carry the weight, you honor your word. In emergencies, you're who people turn to. You are reliable, solid, grounded. You don't fake anything. You don't crave approval. You do what needs to be done, even if it costs you. You are a protector, a builder, a stabilizer, in a world full of instability. But even steel rusts when it's never cared for. Even a warrior needs a place to lay down the sword. You're not here only to fight. You're here to live. A question for you. When did you first learn that strength was your only option? What would happen if, just for a moment, you let someone see the part of you that's not okay? Not broken, just tired. Would the world fall apart if you rested? Would you fall apart, or finally start to heal? You don't have to stop being strong. But strength without softness becomes armor that even you can't take off. Final reflection. Choosing this chair is not a rejection of comfort. It's a testament to what you've survived. You don't want fluff. You don't want lies. You want truth, grit, realness. But real doesn't have to be hard all the time. Protection isn't the same as isolation, and control isn't the same as peace. You've built a life that works, but is it one that feels? You're allowed to soften, to lean, to need, to be human. Because the strongest thing you'll ever do is let yourself be seen, without the armor. Not as the fighter, not as the one who never cries, but as the soul behind the silence. And when you do, you'll discover that the chair you chose isn't your prison. It's your starting point. You don't have to sit in it forever. So, which chair did you choose? Maybe it surprised you. Maybe it made perfect sense. Maybe it felt like a quiet echo of something you haven't put into words until now. The truth is, there are no right or wrong chairs, no better or worse answers, only reflections. Each chair is a symbol. Each choice is a window into something ancient and alive within you. Some of us are seeking rest. Some are building legacy. Some are healing through creativity. Some are protecting old wounds. Some are just trying to breathe. But all of us are walking through the same forest, the lifelong path of becoming who we truly are. Carl Jung believed that every image, every impulse, every dream was a clue, not from the outside world, but from the soul itself. What you saw in that chair is something your conscious mind may have forgotten, but your deeper self remembers. So don't dismiss it. Ask, why that chair? What in me chose it? What part of my story is still asking to be seen? Because maybe this wasn't a test at all. Maybe it was a mirror. And maybe, just for a moment, you caught a glimpse of who you are behind the noise. If that moved something in you, tell us in the comments. What chair did you choose, and what did it reveal? And if this video helped you hear something your soul has been trying to say, don't forget to share it with someone who might need the same reflection. We're all just trying to remember who we are, one symbol at a time.